Starting your first year as a software engineer is like getting thrown in the deep end. You're passionate, you're overwhelmed, and you really want to start, but at the same time, it's like you're lost. There is no in-person onboarding, and you have to figure stuff out as you go. I just wrapped up my second year as a software engineer, but I wanted to walk you through what really hit me during that first year, because that's where the biggest shifts happened for me. So here are the 9 real lessons that helped me survive my first year as a software engineer, and that set me up for long-term growth. You're probably wondering why I'm sitting in this car right now, shooting this video, right? That's because of my daughter. Like I said before, I am a dad of 2. One of them is currently in soccer practice, and this is just the best time for me to record this for you guys. So here I am, I'm in my car. Let's dive right in. Lesson 1, ask a lot of questions. When you're joining a new team and you're starting a new job, or you're starting a new task or a new process, you want to make sure you ask a lot of questions. Don't sit quietly on there. I know in the beginning, I didn't ask enough questions, and I felt that it was just too much work. Maybe I just didn't understand it, or I didn't know what steps to take first. And so it just made my day a little bit harder. The more questions I asked, I started noticing that my tasks became easier, right? I started understanding, okay, this is what I have to start with, and this is the endpoint where I have to go. It's gonna give you a lot of clarity as to what the team's looking for, what the processes are, what the direction that the company is going. And it's better to ask a lot of questions up front before you actually start your work, instead of making those assumptions. Because if you don't ask questions, the team may think that you already understand the process, and you just don't. And they also may think, okay, he's not gonna need a lot of help, so he's ready to go. If you're feeling confused like I was in the beginning, it's just gonna create more work at the end of the day. So you wanna avoid those confusions, you wanna avoid those assumptions. Ask a lot of questions. Your team's gonna respect you for that. They'd rather you ask more questions so that you're clear about the project, about the processes, and about just being in this new job. Imposter syndrome makes you not quickly ask those questions that you wanna ask in order to clear up the task that you have to do. So how do you get rid of that? Honestly, just be yourself. Don't worry about anything else. Just be you. Remember that everyone started as a beginner. Again, this helped me build trust faster, and it just avoids confusion. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video. I just wanted to drop in right now and let you know that I'm sharing with you the exact resources that got me hired as a software engineer. It's completely free. The link's in the description. I'm talking about the free resources that I use, the paid resources that I use, the dev tools, the project that got me hired, and some of the interview strategies that I did. Links in the description. Grab it free. Let's get back to it. Lesson number 2, look for the answer first. Now this one is really something that can save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle as well. During my bootcamp, I learned that you want to go out and give yourself at least 20-30 minutes to figure out the solution. Can you find it? Can you fix the code that you're trying to build? Or maybe you just don't understand the concept. And so instead of pinging a senior dev or a senior engineer or just a peer in general right away, you want to give some time and thought to what it is that you're actually looking for. So I'll give you an example. I was tasked with trying to put together a micro front end and show a proof of concept. And so they wanted me to go ahead and build a simple component that will render in a browser and be able to use in different aspects, but again, using micro front ends. And I've never done this before. And so I built a small component. I started implementing the code to get this done as a micro front end. And basically I ran into an issue, a bug, right? I couldn't run the page. It wasn't running. I kept getting errors, and I just kept going over and over. So what I did first is I called one of the senior engineers. I walked him through the issue I was having. And the first question that I got was, tell me what you've gone out and searched for, what responses, what fixes did you try? And I was like, oh, I didn't try that yet. Ultimately, it's gonna help you learn a lot more if you just spend an extra 25 minutes researching what the fix could be and taking the time to really try to find a solution for whatever it is that you're having an issue with in your code or in your learning or just in general. This way, when you come back and you actually call a dev, once you've done all that research, you have a more focused questions that you can ask in order to find the solution. This shows that you respect people's times, and it also shows that you can solve a real problem. But don't sit for too long. Yes, you want to go out there and search for the answer and you want to search for a solution, but balance is key. If you've done your research and you've done an actual intent to try to fix this problem and there was no solution that you could find, then call your senior engineer and just walk them through everything that you found, what the problem is, what the issue is, what you learned out of it, and ask for help. Looking for the answer first is definitely going to save a lot of time, and your peers are going to thank you for that. Lesson number 3, the learning never stops. It's continuous learning. With software engineering and tech in general, there's going to be new tech all the time. Tech changes really fast, and it can be a new framework or an update to a framework. It can be new tools that are out there, especially with AI right now. There's a lot of tools out there that you just may have not used. I know I didn't, and I started learning some of those things little by little. Even some of the processes at work may change, and you're going to have to learn that as well. But just don't feel overwhelmed. It's a normal thing. You have to get comfortable with the idea that you're going to be learning all the time. I found that if you just focus on one particular new thing that you're learning and then apply it to a project or to your workflow, you'll learn a lot quicker and you'll retain a little bit more. If you find yourself that you have a lot of things that you got to learn, it's okay. Just focus on that one thing and then just move on to the next. Lesson number 4, break down tasks. Now, when I started my job, in the first few months, you get tasked with these stories or tickets for either new features or bugs. In my case, we were building a new project from scratch, so it was new features that we kept implementing to each page. But the moment when I got a story or a ticket, I looked through it and I just went off and started to work on the project. I looked at the design and I started building it. I would find myself that I run into certain situations or certain issues that I didn't know what steps to take, or it just took me a little longer to build. Sometimes some of these big tickets or even small tickets, it's better off if you take the description, if you take what you're supposed to be doing, if you take the task, break it down into smaller steps or little chunks and make them more manageable to start with. Now, I should have known better because I learned this in my boot camp, where you want to break down your steps little by little so that you can complete the entire problem. This helped me move a lot faster in completing some of these stories, and honestly, it made some of the work a lot easier. I saved a lot more time. So even if the task or the thing that you're working on looks very simple, find a way to break it into chunks to make it more manageable, and it'll save you a lot of work at the end. Lesson number 5, use the tools as much as you can. As you're starting a new company, there's a lot of tools that they provide in order to better assist you. Some companies do things like Copilot or Cursor, VS Code. Take some time to explore what they are, what they do. How can they affect your workflow? How can they affect your task at hand? And when you do, figure out how you can implement that. Like, how is this going to help me in my daily work? How is this going to help me complete my task? Some companies like mine, for example, allow you to use Copilot or Cursor. And these are some new AI tools that can definitely assist you in your workplace. So understand what they do, how they can affect your flow, and allow for some of these tools to help you out. Not do your work for you, but instead let it support your workflow overall. I used Cursor most recently, and I have one of the extensions called Bookmarks. And this is just as it's called, a bookmark. And it allows you to just bookmark places in your code or snippets of your code that you can reference back later on when you need to use it again, or if you just want to see how something was built. You click on the little bookmark and it takes you back to that spot, which is super helpful if you're working in really long code bases. You don't have to sit there and look for an example. You just know that you've already bookmarked this before, and when you get a task that is similar to what you've done in the past, you can go ahead, quickly click on the bookmark, and it's going to take you right back there. But use these tools to enhance your workflow, not to replace your work. Lesson number 6, communicate and participate. Let's start with the communication part. It's very important that you communicate with your team. You're updating your team with what you're working on, any issues that you may have, any ideas that you come up with. Share your thoughts, share what you're thinking. If you see something, you want to make sure you communicate to the team saying, hey, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's try to figure this out a different route. And maybe there'll be a better outcome in the solution, or maybe the project will end up being a lot more efficient, or maybe it will not, but at least it shows that you're actively trying to communicate and just share your process, share your thoughts with the team. The second part is participating. There's many times that you can have an opportunity to actively participate with your team. And when I say participate, or maybe a better term would be volunteer, for example, in a team stand-up or a meeting, somebody would say, hey, can somebody go first in sharing what they did for the day? Or can somebody go first and want to jump in and try to explain a solution or explain something that you've learned? And you want to actively participate. You want to put yourself first on there and just say, hey, look, this is what I did. This is what I accomplished today, or this is my thought process. So you want to participate in those meetings. Also in things like team fun. Now, I work remotely. You're not live in person, but we have things called like Friday Funs, where we show funny things, where someone posts a funny question or a funny story and they actively ask a question in return. For example, who's your favorite Star Wars character? Or do you prefer Star Wars versus Star Trek? Or what's your favorite show? Or what would you do if you were sent to the moon? What would your role be? And those are just fun, engaging questions that we share as a team, and you want to participate in those because that shows that you're actively being a part of the team, that you're willing to have fun and try to engage, and it shows that you're trying to grow with the team and just make the team better overall. Communicating and participating is really something that allows you to stand out. Lesson number 7, mistakes will happen. Now, who wants to make a mistake, especially when you're starting a new job? You have a new team, you have all these new people, and you just want to make sure that you're perfect. You want to prove to yourself and to your coworkers that you are the right fit for that job. And so when you start off, right away you think, okay, no, I need to be perfect. And that's just far from the truth. You need to understand mistakes will happen, and that's okay. Especially as you're starting off, you're a new developer. When I first started, my first 3 or 4 months in, I worked on a simple feature, and I don't remember exactly what it was. But what started to happen is I was excited. I looked at the ticket, and I read what had to be done, and what was the outcome that was expected. And boom, I go ahead and start the project. I had no concerns. I was actually feeling good about this one too. But a huge mistake that I made, I pretty much blew up the code. I blew up the repo, and it affected all the developers. So what exactly happened? There is a main branch, and then there's branches that you create to create new features or fix bugs. Even though I know that you have to create a separate branch and do your work from there, I just went ahead and I started quickly creating my component, creating my new feature, and I completely forgot to branch out. Now, what does this mean? I was refactoring, or I was adding new things to the main branch. Now, this is the branch that gets distributed out or just gets pushed out so that everyone can see. And that's something that you really don't want to do. But guess what? I did it. And that was okay. I learned from a mistake. And yeah, I talked to my team and we got a laugh out of that. But I definitely learned not to do that again. So yes, mistakes are going to happen, but you got to learn from those mistakes. Take notes. Make a step-by-step step for yourself and just make sure that this doesn't become something that's repetitive. So the key takeaway on this one is make mistakes. Mistakes are gonna always happen. Just learn from them. Lesson number 8, step away and come back. When you're working on a large database, in a small project, actually, sometimes your brain's going to be a little bit fried. There's a lot of code on there. There's a lot of thinking that you're doing. And sometimes you run into this mental block. I don't know what steps I should take next, or what's going on with my code. I can't figure out this problem. And the same thing happens in a lot of different other careers, right? You can get writer's block. You may be presenting something in general and your mind just goes blank. Same thing happens in code. And the best thing you can do is just step away for a little bit and then come back. Go for a walk and sit down. Go have a coffee. Go have a snack. When you come back in, come back refreshed. And your mind's actually going to be refreshed. So you'll have a better outcome at the end. Sometimes when you just step away and you go do whatever it is that you're going to do, as you're doing that thing, because you're not thinking about what just happened in your code or the bug you can't fix or the thing that you can accomplish, it's just going to be like a little light bulb that goes off in your head and say, oh man, I think this may work. And you just have that answer or solution. Even though if you don't know it's going to work, who knows? But you came up with a new idea that you didn't get while you were actively trying to figure it out in that moment. Why? Because you stepped away and you let your mind clear out and restart or refresh. Stepping away can help you find solutions more effectively and faster. Lesson number 9, start with a plan. Before you actually start with a task, make sure that you're starting with some sort of plan, right? You want to take your story, you want to take your work that you were just assigned, you want to take your task that you're about to start, or the project that you're about to start, or the feature that you're about to start, and you want to look at the descriptions. What's needed? What do you have to start with? Don't feel overwhelmed, because it's going to happen. You're going to get a lot of work. You want to just take all those things and break it down into small pieces that becomes more manageable. This will allow you to create a clear plan, and it allows you to start your work more effectively. A good example of this, and I'm going to use soccer since my daughter and I are big soccer fans. If you're trying to learn how to shoot a ball into the goal, you can just go ahead and start shooting the ball. You just go and shoot, and it may not look pretty, or maybe it does, but there are specific steps in order to learn how to shoot the ball. How do you lock your ankle? Where should your left leg be? Or if you're righty, where should your right leg be? Should you be next to the ball? How far apart should you be from the ball? And then when you're about to shoot, do you look at the goal first and then look down at the ball? Or do you even look at the goal at all? In the same way, when you're trying to do this in the workplace, you want to create a plan. Okay, this is what the description says. I'm going to start with this part first, then I'm going to move on to the next, and then I'm going to move on to the next. And you keep going until your work is completely done. Again, this makes sure that you're being efficient, to make sure it helps you out, and that everything's clear. You have a clear path and you're just not going to get stuck. Your first day as a software engineer is going to be a mix of challenges, growth, and just figuring things out. If you're just starting out, you landed the job, or you want to be prepared for when you do land that job, just remember these things. Keep asking questions. Keep learning new things. Keep building, and give yourself some grace. Remember, mistakes are always going to happen. Just learn from those mistakes. You don't need to be perfect. You just got to be consistent. You got this. Let me know in the comments below if you experienced one of these lessons. If this video gave you some value, hit subscribe, stick around. I'm sharing everything I'm learning as I'm leveling up. And also, don't forget to check out this video right here.